This is Ethiopia, the Horn of Africa. Hello guys, welcome to today's video. In this episode, we're going to learn about the Ethiopia, its history, culture, politics, education, religion, tourism, and many more. Stay tuned and let's get started. Ethiopia is a country in East Africa, located on the Horn of Africa. Djibouti, Somalia, Kenya, South Sudan, and Sudan. The country is landlocked. When what is now Eritrea seceded and became its own country, Ethiopia's country history is particularly interesting because Ethiopia is one of the oldest continually inhabited locations on Earth. Indeed, it may be the very oldest. It is in Ethiopia that some of the oldest archaeological evidence of anatomically modern humans has been found. As a result, the history and prehistory of Ethiopia dates back more than 160,000 years. Ethiopia was never colonized, but has instead maintained its own sovereignty and leadership throughout history. Ethiopia's history dates back many thousands of years. Many archaeologists believe that anatomically modern humans first evolved in what is now Ethiopia. However, there are no written records dating back so many thousands of years, and relatively little is known about early Ethiopian history. For many years, the region was known as Abyssinia. The first major Ethiopian kingdom was called DMT. It was established in what are now Ethiopia and Eritrea around 950 BCE. One of the most important innovations to come from DMT was the creation of the Guizi script, a writing system dating back to the 5th century BCE. This script is still in use in Ethiopia today, making Guizi one of the oldest continually used writing systems in the world. Ethiopia is a pretty cool place. It's the second most populated nation in Africa and the most populated landlocked country in the world. It contains Africa's largest caves, Africa's longest continuous mountain range, and one of its nearly abandoned cities holds the title of hottest high average temperature of any inhabited place on Earth. Don't know if that's an honor I'd want my hometown to have. Ethiopia is also the original home of coffee beans, one of the world's most popular breeds of domesticated cats, and quite possibly humanity. Some of the oldest anatomically modern human remains in the world were found in Ethiopia, and most researchers believe this was the exit point from which humans spread from Africa throughout the world. So give it up for Ethiopia. I think it's safe to say we all owe it our gratitude. Ethiopia has such a long history that it's really impossible to cover all of it in this lesson. So let's hit the highlights. We'll start about 200,000 years ago, when someone died. Who was this person? We don't know, but we do know it was a person, an anatomically modern Homo sapiens, making this the oldest verifiable human skeleton in the world. Many scholars think humans, as we know them, did in fact evolve in the grasslands and forests of Ethiopia. Jump forward about 198,000 years, and we've got something else pretty exciting happening. Starting around 2000 BCE, people in what is now Ethiopia started organizing into more complex societies. By roughly the 8th century BCE, these people formed a formal kingdom of Ethiopia called DMT. Amongst the things to come out of this civilization was the Guizi script, which is not only one of the oldest alphabets in the world, but is still widely used in Ethiopia today, making it one of the only ancient languages in the world to have survived. Throughout the next several centuries, the people of Ethiopia were united under various monarchies, which changed names but represented a nearly unbroken line of political power. From roughly the 4th century BCE through the 10th century CE, this political power came from the city of Aksum, which at times was the center of both the kingdom and then empire of Aksum. Aksum was a major trade center that managed trade routes running through Africa, the Middle East, and the Indian Ocean, making it very powerful. In fact, a Persian scholar of the time named Mani named Aksum as one of the 4 most powerful civilizations in the world, alongside Rome, Persia, and China. So, it really should be no surprise that Ethiopia was also the point of entry for a lot of things. Eventually headed into Africa, Ethiopia was the second non-Roman country in the world to formally adopt Christianity in the 4th century CE, and also was home to the first Muslim community in Africa in the 7th century. Now, one of the things that characterized Africa's experiences, starting from roughly the 16th century through the 20th century, was a series of colonial conquest as European empires expanded their control over the African continent. But not Ethiopia. From the rise of DMT and Aksum through later sultanates and emperors, Ethiopia remained ruled by Ethiopians for the entirety of its history. The only small exception was a brief 5-year invasion by Italy under the 20th century fascist dictator Benito Mussolini. Still, 5 years out of almost 3,000? Hey guys, before we continue, give this video a like and subscribe. The political structure of Ethiopia today. Head of government, Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed. Capital, Addis Ababa. Population, 2024 EST, 109,900,000. Head of state, President, Sahlawork. Zaude. Form of government, Federal Republic with 2 legislative houses. House of the Federation, 153. House of People's Representatives, 547. Ethnic groups and languages. Ethiopians are ethnically diverse, with the most important differences on the basis of linguistic categorization. Ethiopia is a mosaic of about 100 languages that can be classified into 4 groups. The vast majority of languages belong to the Semitic, Cushitic, or Omotic groups, all part of the Afroasiatic language family. A small number of languages belong to a 4th group, Nilotic, which is part of the Nilo-Saharan language family. Under the constitution, all Ethiopian languages enjoy official state recognition. However, Amharic is the working language of the federal government. Together with Oromo, it is one of the 2 most widely spoken languages in the country. In the 1990s, ethno-linguistic differences were used as the basis for restructuring Ethiopia's administrative divisions. Religion of Ethiopia. Christianity was introduced to Ethiopia in the 4th century, and the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, called Tewahedo in Ethiopia, is one of the oldest organized Christian bodies in the world. The church has long enjoyed a dominant role in the culture and politics of Ethiopia, having served as the official religion of the ruling elite until the demise of the monarchy in 1974. It also has served as the repository of Ethiopia's literary tradition and its visual arts. The core area of Christianity is in the highlands of northern Ethiopia, but its influence is felt in the entire country. More than 2/5 of Ethiopians follow the teachings of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. An additional 1/5 adhere to other Christian faiths, the vast majority of which are Protestant. Islam was introduced in the 7th century and is now practiced by about 1/3 of Ethiopians. It is most important in the outlying regions, particularly in the eastern lowlands, but there are local concentrations throughout the country. Traditionally, the status of Islam has been far from equal with that of Christianity. Gave audiences to Muslim leaders and made overtures in response to their concerns. Muslim movements in the region and in neighboring countries may galvanize sentiments for a greater role of Islam in Ethiopia. A small fraction of Ethiopians are animists, who worship a variety of African deities. The majority of these traditionalists are speakers of Nilotic languages, such as the Kanama, and are located in the western lowlands. Judaism has long been practiced in the vicinity of the ancient city of Gondar. Most of the Ethiopian Jews, who call themselves Beta Israel, have relocated to Israel. Under Haile Selassie I, reigned 1930 to 74, Ethiopia's economy enjoyed a modicum of free enterprise. The production and export of cash crops such as coffee were advanced, and import substituting manufactures such as textiles and footwear were established, especially after World War II. Tourism, banking, insurance. Despite progress with economic reform since the 1990s, Ethiopia remains one of the poorest countries in Africa and the world. In 2001, Ethiopia qualified for debt relief under the Highly Indebted Poor Countries Initiative of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and World Bank. And in 2005, Ethiopia was one of several countries that benefited from 100%, the World Bank and the African Development Bank. Public education is free at primary, secondary, and tertiary levels. Primary education is offered for 8 years and is compulsory between ages 7 and 12. 4 years of secondary education, comprising 2 two-year cycles, follow. Tourism in Ethiopia accounted for 5.5% of the country's gross domestic product, GDP, in 2006, having barely increased 2% over the previous year. The government is proving its commitment and willingness to develop tourism through a number of initiatives. Tourism is a featured component of Ethiopia's tourist destinations include Ethiopia's collection of national parks, including Semien Mountains National Park, and historic sites, such as the cities of Aksum, Lalibela, and Gondar, Har Jagol Walled City, Negash Mosque, in Negash and Safomar Caves. Ethiopia is the headquarters of the African Union. If you're single and looking for a partner, I highly recommend Ethiopian women. They are beautiful inside out. If you are thinking of visiting Africa, make sure you visit Ethiopia, experience their traditions, culture, food, and historical sites. You will love the country. Thanks for watching today's episode. Kindly like, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos on this channel.